Yes.
Welcome to our regular city council meeting for December 17th. Can we have a roll call, please, for attendance?
Mrs. Shoup?
Here.
Mr. Fitzgerald?
Here.
Mrs. Donato? Here. Mrs. Jenkins? Mr. Augustine?
Here.
Mr. Fodor?
Present.
Mr. Hack? Present.
At this point, please turn off your cell phones or other electronic devices. Thank you. Can I have an agenda approval? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Ayes carried. Invocation will be done by Lori. Oops, sorry.
Mr. President, can we excuse the meeting now or at the end?
Usually that. Doesn't have to, but we do it now.
Can I make a motion to excuse Mrs. Jenkins from tonight's meeting?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes carried. Invocation will be done by Ms. Lori Dinello, followed by the pledge of allegiance. Please stand.
Almighty God, you have set before us the responsibilities of the city. We ask your guidance and direction that we, the members of council, may do what is best for the people that live here. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our minutes from our regular meeting from 12/3/18 and our work session from 12/3/18. Can I get a motion to accept those, or if not?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes from 12/3/18 and our work session 12/3/18 as written.
Second. Roll call.
Mr. Fitzgerald?
Yes.
Mrs. Donato?
Yes.
Mrs. Jenkins? Mr. Augustine?
Yes.
Mr. Fodor?
Yes.
Mrs. Shoup?
Yes.
Mr. Hack?
Yes. Tonight we have our fire department awards. I'd like to have I'll check them up and announce the people that have the awards, please.
I'd like to thank you for this opportunity to recognize a shift of personnel that back in July responded to a rescue call that resulted in the saving of a community's life. This is a life-saving award that we give under special circumstances. So let me read the citation. On Thursday, July 12, 2018, A shift of the Kansas City Fire Department was called to stage for an assault and possible stabbing victim. While en route, they were advised that the scene was secure and there was a victim. They did then respond directly to the scene where they found two victims. One victim, a 15-year-old female, suffering from multiple stab wounds to the face, head, and neck. Two back wounds were severe enough to be sucking chest wounds. The victim was also suffering from hypovolemic shock due to blood loss. The second victim suffered from minor injuries. The crew immediately recognized the severity of the situation and called for assistance to Painesville Township so they could concentrate their life-saving efforts on the 15-year-old female. Additionally, an paramedical was requested to meet them at the emergency room due to the severe trauma she had suffered. They then began the work of saving the young lady's life. The patient had lost a great deal of blood in her right lung and collapsed due to the sucking chest wounds. The crew performed decompression of the lung and sealed the wounds. In addition to this, they treated the head and facial injuries and controlled most of the bleeding. They monitored the patient's vital signs and assisted her in breathing throughout transport. Both Tri-Point Medical Center and Metro Health have credited the quick, professional, and caring and aggressive care of the responding crew having a direct impact on the ultimate survival of the patient. It is with great honor that I award this life-saving medal to Captain Bob Morosco, Lieutenant Amanda Carduck, firefighters Tom Kaminsky, Randy Minow, Chris Cooper, and Brendan Carter. Chris Cooper and Randy were unable to make it tonight.
Congratulations, thank you.
Thank you for giving us this opportunity to recognize these individuals.
Mark, while you're up there,
Yeah, Chief Deputy Park.
present for you. The shirt is free. I have a proclamation, I just want to go over it for a little bit. And a couple things on it. Whereas Mark Malachek is promoted to Painesville City Fire Chief in September 2002, so I can counsel, and serving acting chief for 16 years, whereas Mark has received numerous awards, including seven Multi-Cross Flood Ribbon Award in 2007, and the CSX Ribbon Award in September 2008. Whereas Mark Malachek has been involved in many memorable emergencies, including the Super Bowl Sunday fire with a wild wind of -30 degrees in 1985 at Colony Lumber, Java Joe's, the November 10th blizzard 1996, the Steel Mansion fire 2001, the Great Blackout 2003, the Great Flood of 2006, the CSX derailment 2007, most of all the City Hall Dome fire 2001, and Eckhart in 2007. So on behalf of myself and City Council and the City of Painesville, we appreciate your time and effort. Thank you.
Been approved. Thank you.
We now have public comments from visitors. We'll now recognize visitors. Please raise your hand if you wish to speak. When called upon, please use the podium. Clearly state your name and address into the microphone and limit your comments to 3 minutes. Any dialogue must be conducted through me as President of Council, although your comments or questions can be addressed to the Council, administration, or board. I'm sorry. What do you want to say? All right, as seeing none, we'll move on. We have our committee reports. Our committee report for the Planning and Board of Zoning Appeals.
Good evening. We did not have a Board of Zoning Appeals meeting this month. However, at the Planning Commission, we had one new business item, which was a public hearing item. Conditional use permit request for Painesville Dental Group at 150 Menor Avenue. The commission recommended approval for the conditional use permit as proposed for a professional office for over 3,000 square feet. The actual building, which I have a rendering up there, is what was approved, both for the design and the construction of that office. It is approximately 4,800 square feet. Council was giving a memorandum regarding the public hearing before planning. It is a recommendation by our planning commission, and 15-day hearing notification goes to council. If you wish to call it up for a public hearing, you may do so. We need a majority of membership. Additionally, under our administrative report, the review of Lakeview Bluffs LLC for their conditional use permit for soil removal at their Elm Street location was reviewed, and the commission recommended the transfer of their permit from Lakeview Bluffs to Glen Springs Holding. They took over ownership of that 1,000+ acre property. They will continue to do the soil remediation at that location. And under other matters, the commission will be having the Unified Development Code reviewed at their January meeting.
Okay, thank you. We now have our committee report from the JED board.
Good evening. At the last meeting, we went over revenues. The JED board will be ahead, or is currently ahead with regards to revenues and has approximately a $90,000 carryover from last year. This is roughly $40,000 more than the prior year. As far as an update on the Fourth Amendment process, which is the process that we presented to City Council as far as bringing additional members into the JED, Concord Real Estate did not appeal within the 30-day period. However, they did request a meeting be set up with the executive director to discuss it. Apparently, they feel that they have a longer period of time. So they will be meeting with the executive director this Friday to talk about the amendment. However, with that not being done, all the papers were filed with the state, so that has been filed with the state as far as the membership and bringing them into the JED. As far as additional business, we did pass a resolution to enter into an economic incentive agreement with Quail Developers. And basically what it is, as we talked about last time, the JED approved various incentives for joining the JED to attract additional members and bring them in. One of the incentives was that they would pay off a portion of the Crowell Road assessment. And Quail Developers chose to become a member of the JED, and part of that is we approved an incentive agreement to bring them in, which would pay $8,000 of their assessment. As far as we had a discussion with regards to the website and what we were going to do with the website. That was tabled so that we could look at it a little bit further. And then under organizational items, Jim O'Leary, who has been the JED board president for a number of years, will be stepping down this year. However, the trustees will be appointing him as their representative to the JED board. So Chris Galloway is termed off basically at the end of the year, so he will be taking Chris's position. And then there was discussion with regards to who would serve in the chair and the possibility of Chris Galloway, who is Concord Township trustee, coming back as the chairperson. And that was basically what we had discussed at the meeting. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Thank you. Moving into legislation, if you wish to comment on legislation, you must request to do so at this time. Those who make such a request will then call upon after the reading. Any dialogue must be conducted after the meeting as president of council. Although your comments or questions be addressed to the council administration or board. Called upon, please use the podium, clearly state your name and address on your microphone, and limit your comments to 3 minutes. Ordinance number 1, ordinance number 2, ordinance number 3, ordinance number 4, ordinance number 5, resolution number 6, resolution number 7. We'll move on to ordinance number 1, third reading.
An ordinance to make appropriations for the current expenses and expenditures of the City of Painesville, State of Ohio for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2019, and adopting the operating budget and declaring an emergency.
Okay, this is the 2019 budget. It will be a little bit over $84 million, and we plan on spending $19.6 million on capital in 2019. We've given you guys 3 presentations, so if you have any questions, I'm available, and this is the 3rd reading.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Mrs. Denalo?
Yes.
Mr. Augustine?
Yes.
Mr. Fodor?
Yes.
Mrs. Shute?
Yes.
Mr. Fitzgerald?
Yes.
Mr. Hack?
Yes, ordinance number 1 passed. Ordinance number 2, first reading.
An ordinance to make amended appropriations and to authorize additional interfund transfers and advances for current expenses and other expenditures of the City of Painesville, State of Ohio during the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2018, and amending the original appropriations for the 2018 operating budget and declaring an emergency.
Okay, this is for the 2018 budget. Each year this legislation has passed, we have to increase the budget and decrease the budget to be in compliance with the Ohio Revised Code. In this, we are going to be increasing the total 2018 budget. We're going to have an increase of almost $8.9 million, but then we're also going to be decreasing the budget by $8.2 million. And I'll go over the increases and decreases in a bit. And the total net is going to be a net increase of almost $700,000 for the 2018 budget. Some of the increases that we're going to be doing, the general fund budget is going to be increased by $1.6 million, just under. The main part of this, if you recall, the city, we pay for our capital in the previous year, in the prior year. So the 2019 capital is going to get funded in 2018. So we have to transfer that money out in 2018 to pay for the 2019 capital. So the general fund, we're going to be increasing by almost $1.6 million. And another big increase is the electric fund is getting increased by $6.6 million. The reason for this increase is the increased cost for purchase power, which is over $5 million in 2018. And also, we're transferring out $1.2 million to pay for upcoming capital in 2019. The city also has to decrease the 2018 budget to be in compliance with the Ohio Revised Code as well. One of the big reductions we're doing, we're reducing the budget in Fund 712, which is the water construction fund, by over $6 million. The reason we have to do this is for the water intake construction. And we originally budgeted, I believe, $10 million for this project in 2018. We're only going to spend about $4 million in 2018. But we are budgeting for this project in 2019 as well. We are requesting that the 3 reads be waived, and it has to be approved by December 31st.
Questions, comments? Any motion?
Move to suspend.
Second.
Mrs. Shute?
Yes.
Mr. Fitzgerald?
Yes.
Mrs. Denalo?
Yes.
Mr. Augustine?
Yes.
Mr. Fodor?
Yes.
Mr. Hack?
Yes.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Sorry. Mrs. Denalo?
Yes.
Mr. Augustine?
Yes.
Mr. Fodor?
Yes.
Mrs. Shute?
Yes.
Mr. Fitzgerald?
Yes.
Mr. Hack?
Yes. Ordinance number 2 passed. Ordinance number 3, first reading.
An ordinance to authorize additional interfund transfers for current expenses and other expenditures of the City of Painesville, State of Ohio during the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2018, and declaring an emergency.
Okay, this also is an annual piece of legislation that we're required to do. These are to approve the transfers that we just approved in the last piece of legislation. The state auditors require these transfers to be approved in a separate piece of legislation though. So the general fund is going to be transferring out over $1.1 million into various other funds, and the majority of this money is to pay for 2019 capital. The sewer revenue fund is going to be transferring out $770,000 into the sewer construction fund to pay for capital projects in the sewer fund in 2019. And then the electric fund is going to be transferring out $1.2 million into the electric construction fund to pay for 2019 electric capital. And again, we are requesting that the 3 reads are waived, and this has to be approved by the end of the year as well.
Any questions or comments?
Move to suspend.
Second.
Mrs. Denalo?
Yes.
Mr. Augustine?
Yes.
Mr. Fodor?
Yes.
Mrs. Shute?
Yes.
Mr. Fitzgerald.
Yes.
Mr. Hack.
Yes.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Mr. Fodor.
Yes.
Mrs. Shoop.
Yes.
Mr. Fitzgerald.
Yes.
Mrs. Denalo.
Yes.
Mr. Augustine.
Yes.
Mr. Hack.
Yes. Ordinance number 3 passed. Ordinance number 4, first reading.
An ordinance amending section 167.09, 167.11, 167.12, 167.141, 167.39, 167.41, 167.45, and 167.481 of the Painesville Code of 1998 relating to the classification and compensation plan and declaring an emergency.
Okay, City Council requested the administration to bring legislation to you guys for increasing the council's annual salary. The council's members' annual salary would go from $6,000 to $7,000 in this piece of legislation, and the council president's salary would go from $7,000 to $8,000. This would not go into effect until January 1, 2020, and you guys could take 3 reads on this one.
Okay, stand first reading. Ordinance number 5, second reading.
An ordinance creating a tax increment financing incentive district, declaring improvements to the parcels within the incentive district to be a public purpose and exempt from real property taxation, requiring the owners of those parcels to make service payments in lieu of taxes, establishing a municipal public improvement tax increment equivalent fund for the deposit of those service payments, specifying the public infrastructure improvements that benefit or serve parcels in the incentive district, and authorizing payments to the Riverside Local School District and the Auburn Career Center.
I have one update for you. Since the last time we met, City Manager Ireland and I have met with Auburn Career Center, or representatives from Auburn Career Center. They have passed a resolution in support of the agreement that we have with the schools, and that's all I have. This will have to go to third reading.
All right, this will stay on for third reading. Resolution number 6.
A resolution recognizing Eastern Lake County Chamber of Commerce 2019 Beacon Award winner in the Perry Center of Lake County. Oh. Did I miss it?
Yeah, 6.
Sorry, I scrolled too far. We have it backwards. We have it backwards, sorry.
There you go.
Okay, so this is the correct one. A resolution recognizing Eastern Lake County Chamber of Commerce 2019 Business of the Year Conway Land Title.
Move to suspend.
Second.
Mrs. Shu?
Yes.
Mr. Fitzgerald?
Yes.
Mrs. Denalo?
Yes.
Mrs. Jenkins? Oh, sorry, she's not here. Mr. Augustine?
Yes.
Mr. Fodor?
Yes.
Mr. Hack?
Yes. Resolution passed.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Move to adopt.
Who's first?
But, so we can just call it point of order.
Our law director said we don't need to.
Well, technically, but you know, who's gonna come back and fight? You're still gonna come in and say, wait a minute here?
No more rainbow.
That's all right, just move to adopt.
All right.
Okay, Mr. Augustine?
Yes.
Mr. Fodor?
Yes.
Mrs. Shu?
Yes.
Mr. Fitzgerald?
Yes.
Mrs. Denalo?
Yes.
Mr. Hack?
Yes. Great. Resolution 6, approved. Congratulations to our Painesville business. Resolution number 7,
Okay.
first reading.
A resolution resolution recognizing Eastern Lake County Chamber of Commerce 2019 Beacon Award winner, the Perry Center of Lake County.
Move to suspend.
There you
Second.
Mrs. Denalo?
I think we're calling a point of order, we don't need to suspend.
We don't.
Just move to that.
You just moved it. That's okay.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Mrs. Denalo?
Yeah.
Mr. Augustine?
Yes.
Mr. Fodor?
Yes.
Mrs. Shute?
Yes.
Mr. Fitzgerald?
Yes.
Mr. Hack?
Yes. Number 7 passes. Unfinished business, new business, non-department presentation, non-administrative report, law director,
None.
city manager,
Nothing here.
clerk of council.
This is a short one. The next regular council meeting will be held on Monday, January 7th, 2019 at 7:30 p.m. There will be a special council meeting held on December 31st at 12 p.m. And City Hall will be closed December 24th and 25th for Christmas Eve and Christmas, and then January 1st for New Year's Day.
Closing comments. Nick?
I don't have much for today. I just wanted to first congratulate the Painesville Police Department for getting the drug driving enforcement grant, which was about $7,500. And then the next thing, I just wanted to, forgot my little sheet, but congratulate all the winners from PCIC's Christmas decorating contest. Each ward had its own resident and commercial winners, but and I think the steel mansion was on there as well, so congratulations. There was the most honorable mentions from Ward 3, so that's great news. That's all.
Jim?
Ditto what Nick said, and then, once again, just recognizing those fire people that received that award. Most of them got into the business because they wanted to make a difference, and obviously they did on that day. That's all I got.
Christine?
Ditto with Jim as far as honoring the awards, and ditto with Nick for the rest of the winners of the lights. I had 3 in mind.
Lori?
Oh, wow, thank you. I also wanted to know the recognition of our firefighters, and I know I heard multiple comments throughout the city about the work that they did on that day, and the fact that they saved a life. And I think very precious life at that. So I'm not that alarmed, but I also wanted to wish everybody happy holidays, happy New Year. Definitely congratulate the Conways and the Perry Center. Wondering why we don't have a nonprofit of the year this year. Is
Or
anybody-
person of the year?
They cut their awards down to just 2 this year.
It's only 7.
That's all I have, thank you.
Tom?
Pretty much ditto on everything else. Congratulate the firefighters and happy holidays to everyone.
I just want to thank all my friends that told me that the Shark vacuum cleaner is the best vacuum cleaner for Christmas. And,
I hope she doesn't watch this.
last year she wrote that up and I got it. Hey, I just want to invite you guys, if you want to, in about a half an hour, stop at the local fish bar and have some food and I'll buy you guys a beverage, one beverage. If you want to stop, you're more than free, the whole group that's here for an hour. And I was kind of proud of, I was on council when Mark got voted in as the president, the chief of fire department. It's kind of ironic, and I'm still working. And, but I hope him and his family the best on his retirement, so it's been a nice ride. Can I get a motion to adjourn to executive session?
I'll make a motion to adjourn to executive session being held in accordance with Article 2, Section 6.1 to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of an employee or official of the city.
Second.
If you guys want to run to the fish bar, there'll be food and get a drink, just its own.
Call the roll.
All in favor?
Oh, yeah.
No.
All in favor?
No.
Aye.
All right, so we're gonna, yeah, we'll stay in here.
So,